Hey guys, thanks for joining me in this new video. Today we'll be having a look at 10 chords that you must know to play pop music like a pro. It's nothing too fancy or too jazzy, just some extensions, some sus chords and some inversions that you might find quite often when you approach pop music. So if you learn them, if you review them with me, hopefully you're gonna feel more comfortable next time you're gonna learn one of your favorite songs. So let's get into them with a close-up. So let's get started with the first chord. We'll always try to see where the root note is. In this way you know why the chord is called this way, and hopefully you'll be able to also move it in different keys if needed. So the first chord is probably the most common in this list, and it's the D over F sharp, and it's an inversion, which means that you're gonna find the D, which is the name of the chord, slash F sharp, which is the name of the note on the bass. The note on the bass, when you're playing an inversion, is different from the root note, so it's not a D in this case, and it's going to be another of the notes in the chord. In this case, it's the major third, and for that reason, this is going to be a first inversion. Now, there are several ways of playing it. You can think of a regular D major, and then place the F sharp on the bass, for example, with your thumb. This sounds absolutely fine when you play it. But in my opinion, since you are already playing an F sharp on the bass, you don't need to repeat it necessarily on the first string, on the high E string. So you can just play one finger here for the F sharp and then the second and third finger for the part of the D that you want to keep from your regular D major. So you can think of a D major where you're moving this note 2 octaves lower, basically on the bass on the low E string like this. And you can mute, for example, the high E string this way. That's your D over F sharp. You can choose what's the best fingering for it. You can go 1, 2, 3 like I'm doing now. Sometimes I play 2, 3, 4. You can even use your thumb and then 1 and 3 this way. That's absolutely fine. It's completely up to you. So the root note here is here on the B string, and it's also the open D when you play, obviously, a D over F sharp. Now the second chord is still a first inversion, and it's called E over G sharp. In this case we're gonna see a chord which doesn't include open strings, so hopefully you'll be able to move this position in any other key you might need. So the position is this. This is your E over G sharp. Again, G sharp is the note on the bass, 4th fret, played with the second finger. Then your first finger plays the root note on the 2nd fret of the D string. Then ring finger, 4th fret of the G, little finger on the 5th fret of the B, like this. I'm not playing the A string, I'm not playing the high E string, so I can strum it. I can use an arpeggio. And more importantly, if you know that this is the name of the root note, so this is the E, obviously here you've got an octave, so you can look at either of them, and you can move it in any other key you need. So if you need an F sharp in first inversion, you're gonna move this one from E to F sharp and play the same position, which becomes, for example, an F sharp over A sharp. The next chord that we are gonna have a look at is an A over C sharp, again a first inversion. Now think of your regular A major, okay, that every beginner guitarist knows, and you're gonna play this with one finger only, like this, as a mini bar, and then you can use your third finger to play the 4th fret on the A string, which is a C sharp. You can either play the C sharp again here on the B string, or just stop after 3 notes. So in this way you've got your 3rd, 5th, and root note here. Or if you like it, you can repeat it again here. So you can play this position. That's your A over C sharp. Again, once you know that this is your root note, the A on the 2nd fret of the G string, you can move it anywhere you need it. Then the next chord is a dominant 7 chord, the only dominant 7 chord in this list. It's not particularly difficult, but for some reason many beginners don't really know this position, and it's this B7 here. Now this position includes an open B string, an open string here. So that means you can't move it in other keys exactly like it is. You could move it, making sure that you mute that string. But if you are not able to mute it right now, you can just learn it as a B7, and very often it's going to be really helpful, especially if you're playing something more country blues, especially in the key of E major. So this is your B7. I'm muting the low E string, playing the root note with the 2nd finger, 2nd fret of the A string, first finger on the first fret of the D string, ring finger on the second of the G, little finger on the second of the high E string. That's your B7. The next chord is another 7th chord, but it's a major 7 chord, and it's a C major 7. It's a very easy chord, but sometimes I see people confused about either the name or the position of this chord. So imagine that you come from a C major triad, and now you just lift your first finger. So in this way you're playing the B string, the open B string, which is the major 7th in the key of C, and that's how you get the C major 7. That's your C major 7. Now, if you want to move this, you can use the same position as 3 and 2, keeping in mind that this is your root note, and play it as 4 and 3, and then use a bar to cover the bottom 3 strings that you were playing open in the C major 7. So for example, you can play D major 7, E major 7, and so on. Then the next chord is still related to C. Coming from, again, the C major, it's very important to know how to play a C add 9, which is a super common chord in country music. So you need to look at the 9th here, the D on the 3rd fret of the B string. And rather than playing your C this way, you're going to play the C starting with 2 and 1, then open G, then third finger on the 3rd fret of the B string, and then you can double the 5th of the chord if you like it with a little finger on the 3rd fret of the high E string. This way. This is a very, very common chord in country music, in country blues, so definitely something to know. And again, the root note is the C on the 3rd fret of the A string. The next chord is one of my favorite. It's one of those chords like that I used to check, for example, the tuning of the guitar. Everybody, I guess, has its own favorite. So mine, it's an E add 9, which means that you come from an E major, and now instead of repeating again another root note here, you move it 2 frets forward to the 9th. So this is the position of the E add 9. Such a beautiful chord. So you use your second finger, 2nd fret of the A, little finger on the 4th fret of the D string, and the first finger stays on the 1st fret of the G string. Like this. That's a beautiful E add 9 chord. The next one is a sus chord, and it's an F sus too. Now, this is the position that I come from when I think of it. So this is my F with the thumb playing the root note, and then the same as a bar chord basically. Now, starting from here, if you just remove your 2nd finger, you're gonna play an open G with no 3rd in this chord, and that's why you can call it sus too. Like this. It's a beautiful chord, really, really emotional. Now, if you are not able to play this position right now, you find it hard, maybe you can just start from a simple F triad with 3 fingers, 3, 2, 1, remove your 2nd, and just play these 3 strings. D, G, and B strings, 3rd finger on the 3rd fret of the D, 1st finger on the 1st fret of the B. That's your F sus too. Now, the next chord is a G chord that you can play as add 11. Now, add 11 means that you are still playing your G triad, but you also want to add the 11th, which happens to be in the key of G, the C note on the 1st fret of the B string. So rather than having this position or this position that you might already know of G, you're just going to play the 3rd finger on the 3rd fret of the low E string, 2nd finger on the 2nd fret of the A, and then your 1st finger on the 1st fret of the B string, which is also muting the high E string. This is a very emotional, intensive chord that very often resolves to a regular G major, removing the 1st finger, like this. Alright, so that's your G add 11. Next chord is going to be a chord that probably you've seen many times. The name is just very long, but I mean, it doesn't matter if you don't really know the name. So it's basically this chord, which is a D with a C shape. You can literally think of a C shape that you move 2 frets forward, and you let the open G and open high E ringing. Now, the full name of this chord should be D add 9 11. It's also on a meet 5, so you don't have the 5th in this chord. So I'm using the ring finger on the 5th fret of the A string, 2nd finger on the 4th fret of the D string, and 1st finger on the 3rd fret of your B string, and the root note obviously is here, and there is also an octave where you repeat the D here. Really beautiful, for example, when you come from C and you want to go to D. Sounds great to me. It's one of the best chords that you can play in this key. Alright guys, so hopefully you enjoyed these 10 chords that I showed you today. Please let me know in the comments below if you already knew all of them, and even if you have other chords that you found playing one of your favorite pop songs that I didn't mention today and you might want me to talk about in one of the next videos. As usual, if you are new here, don't forget to subscribe to this channel and hit the bell button if you want to be notified when I release my new video, so that you can keep up with all of the upcoming lessons. If you enjoyed this video, you can like it and share it with your family and friends. That would really help me and I would really appreciate it. I hope to hear from you soon in the comments below. This was the Bearded Guitarist. Thanks for watching guys. I'll be seeing you next week.